Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another update for you lovely people. It's absolutely freezing in my room, so I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. First things first, if you are new here, please do subscribe to the channel. And of course, slap a like on the video. I'm trying to post more frequently for you lovely people. And this following week or this coming up week, I will be posting, if not every day, every other day. Try my best. Anyways, that side, as you can see from this beautiful message here, just bear it in mind. Just bear it in mind. But as you can see from the title, there's another update in the twists and turns of the takeover situation. Listen, first things first, right? I'm just gonna caveat all of this with a pinch of salt. Look, this is just from what I've seen on social media. Obviously, I'm going to be quite incredible journalist. I'm not going to be sitting here and just waffling on for the sake of waffling. And hopefully, obviously, you guys appreciate that. But that said, let's first obviously get through some of the reports that were happening over the night. First things first, Sky Kavanagh was saying that the Qatar situation has gone quiet. For me personally, with all due respect to Sky Kavanagh, I don't know if I'm calling him Sky Kavanagh, but Kavanagh from Sky Sports, you know, he doesn't seem like he knows what he's talking about, to be quite frank and honest with you. I mean, with all due respect to the guy, he's literally changing his opinion within a couple of hours. Either the prices are different or the situation is completely flipped on its head, whatever may it be. And it seems like there's a lot of clickbait, especially from Sky Sports in particular. I think, look, I respect his work in particular, but for me, the Sky Sports sources, they seem like they're lacking. It doesn't seem like they know anything. It just seems a lot of clickbait, like I've already said. And I think for me personally, it's getting a bit frustrating, if I'm honest. I mean, with Manchester United, we never really have it easy, whether it be transfer situations or whatever it may be. There's always seems to be this ongoing saga of United. We can never do things quickly. And that has been a general theme throughout the entirety of the Glazers' tenure. And that's something that I'm really hoping does not sort of doesn't happen in the next sort of era under new ownership. I mean, look at Bayern Munich, for example. You know, they got rid of Nagelsmann, they got Tuchel in straight away. Yeah, granted, they probably spoke to Tuchel behind closed doors, but the way that club is run is the way I aspire my United to be run. Extremely efficient, no nonsense, nothing about, you know, clicks in the media, nothing about, you know, fake reports, X, Y, and Z. Just get your work done. I think that's something my United need to take a leaf out of that book, because we've been absolutely shambolic of late. But yeah, in terms of the situation, there are reports coming out that said Jim Ratcliffe did also put in a bid. As I said on Alice's video last night, basically said Jim Ratcliffe was the reason there was a delay. Essentially, he wanted more time to get his bid in. From the reports coming out, he was basically at the stage where he felt like his bid was extremely short compared to what the Qataris were going to put in, and he was right. I mean, he put in a bid of roughly 5 billion. Sorry, again, this figure, it seems to be changing. There's a lot of contradicting reports. Some reports are saying 4.5 billion, some reports are saying 5 billion, some are saying 5.3 billion. And I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, which one's right, because I don't actually know, to be honest. But what I do know is it's a lot shorter than the Qatari bid, which we'll touch on very shortly. But either way, he's going to be putting money in via loan, via debt, and that does not bode well for me as a football fan, as a Manchester United fan. More importantly, I just don't see that as a viable option. And it seems that the Glazers aren't really going to pay much notice to Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid as well. It does seem like that has been dismissed. Whether it's 5 billion or 5.3 billion, either or, it doesn't seem like Sir Jim Ratcliffe has got enough money to basically match the Glazers' estimation or valuation of the club, which is 6 billion. For me, that is too much anyways. I think 5 billion would have been about the right price. I think even then you're probably pushing it, given the amount of work and the debt on the club. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're asking for 6 billion. I've got to be honest, but look, the Glazers are extremely greedy. We know this. We know this has been the case throughout the entire time at Manchester United, so it's not really that much of a surprise. But the fact that he's so short of that estimated valuation from the Glazers, I would like to think that means Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't really have much of a chance getting the club. Unless there's a situation that Qatar pull out and the Glazers desperately want to sell, and, you know, Sir Jim is only viable option. Look, for me personally, there are also speculation that the Glazers may not sell after all of this. I don't know the ins and outs of how things work from a finance perspective, but from reports and again from stuff that I've read online, and just doing my own background research and speaking to a couple of friends that are within the finance industry, etc. they're not legally allowed to do that. Basically, increase the stock and increase the value of the company, you Manchester United in this scenario, and then basically say, "Oh, we're not selling," because that is a manipulation of the market. From what I'm aware of, again, this is just what I've read. I might be completely wrong, but this is what I've read and been told from people in the finance industry. Obviously, they've basically publicly come out and said they're selling it. This isn't a situation where they were just, I don't know, hypothetically selling a property and they're contemplating it. This is pretty much manipulation of the market from their perspective. So from what I've heard from finance people and people within the industry, it would be illegal for them to not sell the club at this stage, given the situation where they've had several bidders. I mean, reports are coming out, they had up to 8 bidders. We only know of really 2, possibly 3. The fan-led bid, the fan-led ownership, which was made apparent to us yesterday. I don't think that's a serious offer. So I don't think that's something that they're going to consider in general. So I don't know if you can even count that. For me personally, I do not want a fan ownership, which might not be a popular opinion, but I just don't think our fans have any idea of how to run a club, firstly. And secondly, a lot of the fan opinions that I see on social media, i.e. McTominay and Weghorst, are quality players. I do not want fans with that kind of opinion to have any power of who Man United should be signing in the future or any say within the club. For me, just get the right people on board and bring in a proper DOF, footballing people, and obviously build a hierarchy accordingly. But yeah, for me, fan ownership is a massive no-no. I just think we've got to stick to what we know, and that is get people in that know what they're talking about, i.e. a proper DOF. I said last night as well on Alice's stream, I feel like his name is Paul Mitchell. I might be mistaken, but the gentleman at Monaco, I believe he's stepping down from his position at Monaco. He would be a fantastic acquisition for Man United. As a DF, he's extremely well known within the community, in terms of the wider community. He's very, very well respected as well. And he's got a great track record, especially in the Premier League as well. Obviously, he's done well at Monaco, etc. as well. Yeah, for me, that kind of person coming into United, he knows the club, he knows the country well, and he knows what it will take to obviously work alongside Eric Ten Hag, because he's got that track record of being successful within that position. So we need to get someone like that in, firstly. But yeah, as Ali correctly says, Qatar and Qatar only for me. Look, if Dubai are interested by me, I'm not going to say no to them. I'm not gonna shy away from it. I want Arab money. I'm not gonna BS and sit here and pretend to play the field and say, "Oh, Jim, Sir Jim." No, not Sir Jim. Arab money or bust. I don't want nothing else. And the reason I want Arab money is for 2 things. Firstly, because they've got a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie. They've got a lot of money. We need a lot of work at United. It's not an easy fix. I mean, if you calculate things, let's say they buy the club for 6 billion. Then you're looking at least 3 billion to make a new stadium, or whatever, maybe 2 billion, whatever, within that realm, so to speak, in terms of funds. Probably more, if not. I don't know how much it's going to cost for land, etc. But then you look at the facilities, they need ripping out, infrastructure needs sorting out. We're massively behind. I mean, the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo came back, granted, he said a lot of ridiculous things in his statements, but a lot of stuff he said about the infrastructure was completely spot on. The fact that he's got the exact same facilities that he left in 2010, 2009 when he left United, comes back in 2021, and it's exactly the same machines. I mean, that's absolutely embarrassing for a club of United stature. There's a lot of work that needs to be done and a lot of money that needs to be put into this club. Make no mistake about it. So for me, we need people with money, whether you want to say I'm selling my soul or whatever it may be. I don't see it as selling my soul. I see it as getting the best people fit to run the club and bring the club back to where they want to be. If you're a Manchester United fan, that's all you should be wanting. People are going to say sports washing, political nonsense. Listen, there's sports washing in every aspect of life. I mean, look, if you want to talk politics, what billionaire is ethical? That is my question to you. Like, you could probably find so many billionaires in the Premier League that aren't ethical. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know the ins and outs of everybody's, work and everyone's background. So I don't really know enough to really delve into too much detail. But the truth of the matter is, if you're going to, hit Qatar with that stick, so to speak, you got to do the same for everybody else. And I don't feel like that has been the case. I mean, American owners, are they funding the war? I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't want to really get into it, but you can make that case for everybody. It's not just Qatari owners. But anyways, it is what it is. We've got a company from Red Devils. Can't pronounce the name. Rasmus. I will not hide it. I'm a huge Manchester United fan, so joining them, it would be a big thing for me. I'm not 100% sure who that is. I've got to be honest. I'm not going to lie, I don't know who that is. Is that someone bidding for the club? Is that a player? I don't actually know, so I do apologise. I can't really offer much more to that. But yeah, regarding the situation, firstly, do slap a like on the video. I think we got that 15 likes on the last video, so if we can get to more than 15, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And obviously, subscribe for more updates. The biggest update is that Qatar have put in a second bid. Sheikh Jassim, in particular, being that person. Look, he's put in a second bid, which for me should realistically be enough. I mean, as I've already said, the Glazers have to sell, otherwise it's illegal, really. You know, you can't manipulate the market to increase the value of your entity, property, whatever it may be. It's just not allowed. So from what I've heard, that they can't just say, oh, we don't want to sell. There's a lot of reports saying that they don't want to sell. They may be interested in keeping it. I don't think they're allowed to do that legally. So no, that might actually be a better case scenario. If they break the law, you know, they have to just completely, but you know what I'm saying, just get rid of them ASAP. They don't get any money. I'd rather they broke the law and they just get banished from, you know, court of law, so to speak. But yeah, regarding the bid, it does seem like it has matched the valuation. I mean, they said 6 billion, they want to 6 billion, and it seems like they matched that bid. I mean, at the end of the day, I just don't understand how the Glazers can say no. I mean, we know they're extremely greedy, they know they're extremely tight, but it's just a bit of a piss take, if I'm being honest. I mean, it reminds me of Ajax when they said with Anthony, oh, we want 80 million for him, or 80 million euros, whatever it is, and we matched it, and then they raised the price. I mean, for me, that's just pathetic in any walk of life. I mean, for the Glazers to then turn around and say, oh, we don't want 6 billion, we want 6.5 or 7 billion. I've got a feeling they may do that, but I just think it's absolute. It's just a bit frustrating, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, as a fan, we want this to be done sooner rather than later, because we want our new owners to be able to work their magic in the summer window. I mean, we're going to need a lot of work in the summer. Eric Ten Hag needs a lot of reinforcements. He needs a lot of players. And if this is the current situation where the current owners aren't selling, or they're basically delaying for whatever, it's gonna affect us coming into the new season, and that's for me is one of the biggest issues. And I just want it done ASAP. I mean, like I said, Man United tend to be a club that don't tend to do things quickly, sadly, unlike Bayern Munich. But regarding the whole situation, they've matched the bid. It's up to the Glazers now. The ball is in their court. Fabrizio Romano tweeted it early this morning. The ball is in the court of the Glazers. The Qataris have matched the bid, and we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, you know, there may be other bidders that we're not aware of that might be in the conversation. There is somewhat of a bidding war, so that does definitely help the Glazers, does give them more strength in the situation. You know, it helps their hand, so to speak, and it'll be interesting to see what they do in the coming days / weeks, and of course I will keep you up to date with that. If you have got any questions, obviously feel free to leave them in the comment section. Obviously, if you're watching this live, feel free to put them in the comment section now, and I will try to answer them. But yeah, we're just going to move away from that for a second. As always, make sure you stay tuned for more of the updates. But the biggest update is really they have matched the bid. The Qatari owned investment has matched the bid of 6 billion to the Glazers. The ball is in their corner. Sergio is massively short of the estimated value. So for me personally, I don't see a situation where he wins unless there is, you know, a massive outburst from the Qatari investment, and they say, look, we're walking away, so to speak, that kind of thing. I said Jim's the only viable option. Otherwise, I just don't see how he'd win. But yeah, let's get some comments here from Red Devils. Maguire, I also see myself as a leader for my club. Obviously, I haven't played as much as I would have liked this season, but I feel like I'm in good shape this year. And also Red Devil saying, those who have submitted bids for Man United are expected to hear back around 7 days. Wow, that's a long time. Right, okay. But yeah, look, obviously regarding Mike Keegan, he's been quite spot on, to be fair to him. Like those at Sky Sport, I feel like they are and ahhing and changing their opinion a lot. But yeah, let's just quickly talk about Maguire, because this is something that I saw on social media, on Twitter in particular today, and I've got to be quite honest with that. I'm extremely surprised that the quotes that I'm seeing from the Maguire situation are factual. I genuinely thought they were fake. I mean, you see a lot of things on social media, and you really think, nah, that can't be true. It just can't be true. Maguire essentially saying that he's a key player for Manchester United. The 9 out of 10 games he's played this season, I think he said something along those lines. Manchester United have won. He's extremely important to the team. Also said something along the lines of, you know, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I've played over 50 caps for England, over 200 games for United. I mean, it just reeks of losing mentality. All those quotes, again, I had to double check if they're factual, and they actually are factual, which is baffling to me that a player can have such low self-awareness. I mean, loser mentality and just in general, absolutely embarrassing that was a Manchester United captain. It is the Manchester United captain. I mean, if this is your captain who is incapable of looking and reflecting and saying, no, what, I need to improve in X, Y, and Z, it just doesn't bode well. We paid 80 million for this guy as well, and for me, he's an absolute joke. I mean, I've never particularly rated him. Actually, that is a lie. I did want him at United. I'm not in a cap. But for the best part of 2-3 years, I've been Maguire out, so to speak. And the quicker this guy goes, the better. I mean, we need to get these losers out of this club. I mean, players like him with this mentality, and McTominay as well, another one. Get rid of both of them. I've had enough of them thinking they're good enough for United. I mean, just have a bit of accountability and say, you know what, I need to improve in X, Y, and Z. Not this, oh, I've played over 200 games, I'm a captain for 3 years. I don't need to prove myself. What kind of nonsense is that? And it comes back to what happened in Greece as well. Him saying to the police officer, whoever it was, oh, do you know who I am? I'm the captain of United. I mean, it's just, since that day, I've never really particularly been fond of his mentality. I just think it stinks. McTominay, another player that thinks he's better than he is. Again, I don't have any issues with having confidence, but you got to be realistic as well. You got to have that self-awareness and be able to be critical of yourself. And I feel like these kind of players have the opposite. They genuinely think their shit don't stink. Simple as that. And the quicker we get rid of the squad and the dressing room of these absolute loser mentality players, the better. I mean, yeah, the Maguire sentiment, absolutely baffling. Quite ridiculous that he actually genuinely believes the hype. I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't get how you can look yourself in the mirror and think you're actually doing a good job. I mean, he must look himself in the mirror and think, no, I am the guy. You know, I'm the guy to take United forward. You know, what does he actually think when he looks in the mirror? Does he actually genuinely think he's a good player? But like, it's just baffling. But on some positive news, Marcel Sabitzer bagged a hat-trick. Sorry, I got a bit carried away there. Bagged a brace for Austria last night, including a beautiful, beautiful free kick. Look, for me, Sabitzer is looking a fantastic player. I think it's an absolute no-brainer at this point. Sell Martial and put the money towards Sabitzer. I mean, it's basically a like for like in terms of money. But in terms of quality, you're going up levels. You know, Sabitzer is a captain of his country. He was a captain at RB Leipzig. He's a leader. I mean, he's taken accountability time and time again. And I just think he's a quality squad player. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a world beater. I'm not going to say he plays week in, week out. But I think he's a fantastic player to have within the squad. Whether he wants to be a bit part player is up to him. But I do think with players like that, they definitely help improve your overall team. I mean, he's a utility player as well. He can play in numerous positions. I don't feel like he's a player that's going to kick up any force. He's very much a professional player. And he's the kind of player that you want in the dressing room. I mean, he gives me Daily Blind, Herrera vibes. He's probably get his, you know, he just goes about his business. He doesn't really kick up a fuss, as I said. I look, for me personally, sell McTominay for 20 million and put that money towards a bit. So I think it's an absolute no-brainer. But in other news, Marcus Rashford has been under a lot of criticism from the media because Southgate essentially said he's wagging work. Southgate's comments regarding Rashford are absolutely pathetic. I'm sorry to say it, Southgate, but you don't have a Scooby on what you're talking about. I mean, that audacity for him to basically say, oh, we've got players like Rashford who's barely ever available for England, so we don't really miss him. Essentially saying, don't come back. You know, you're not making yourself available. You're faking injury, whatever it may be. And look, he may be faking injury. Ten Hag may have done the Sir Alex Ferguson and said, look, we need you to, have a bit of rest. So go have a little bit of a break with your missus, take time out, etc., etc. Look, he's in New York. He's having a couple of days off. It is what it is. If he's injured and is having that time off, that's between the manager and that's between the player. That hasn't got anything to do with Southgate. That hasn't got to do anything to do with England. He could still be injured and could, had the luxury of having a break. I mean, Ten Hag is the manager of Manchester United Football Club, and it's up to him to decide on how he deals with the player. And if Ten Hag has said to Marcus Rashford, look, you're injured. Normally we would get you back in the recovery ASAP, but no, you've been playing week in, week out for me for the best part of 4 months now, or the best part of 3 months. Every single game, you've given me 110%. Go and take a couple of days off, and we'll assess it when you're back. What's wrong with that? I don't understand why Southgate is taking digs at him. For me, it's just absolutely pathetic, especially coming from a manager that didn't really give him an opportunity. But yeah, shout out to Matthew who's tuning in. Afternoon, big up to everyone in the on the show and in the chat. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate your support, my guy. Obviously, to everyone that is tuning in, obviously most of you will probably be watching this on repeat because it was very much a last minute thing that I just thought, well, let me just go and talk about the situation. Make sure you do slap a like on the video and of course subscribe to the channel. As always, I appreciate everyone. But yeah, regarding the Southgate thing, look, Southgate, you're never gonna watch this, but you're an absolute. How do I say it? You're absolute shambles. To be honest, I want to be respectful as I possibly can because I might end up meeting him at some point. But how can you say that about Rashford? I'm sorry, you played him for 5 minutes. England needed a goal, and you played him for 5 minutes in the World Cup against France. I mean, you subbed on Sterling. To be fair to Sterling, he's been absolutely fantastic for England under Southgate's tenure, and I understand that. But look, Rashford, I'm not saying he was firing prior to the World Cup, but he's showing you after the World Cup what he's capable of doing. You need a goal, and you gave him 5 minutes. I mean, how can you talk? You literally gave the guy 5 minutes. You quite clearly favoured Grealish over him. And you want him to potentially risk his injury like he's already done in the past to play for England. I'm sorry, piss off. I respectfully do one. I don't really care, to be honest. I just think it's an absolute joke, and it's just it's rich from coming from a guy that only gave him 5 minutes. I mean, it's not like it's not a Rashford to go-to winger and you're starting him week in, week out when he's playing for England. You barely feature the guy. I mean, it's just baffling. I mean, if it was Harry Kane in that situation, would he say the same comments? I highly doubt it. And also, it would be different in general because Harry Kane is his number one. So, yeah, for me personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. But shout out to Rian. Big up to you, my bro. Always show your love. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. But yeah, look, regarding Southgate's situation is absolute shambles. And look, on the positive side, Luke Shaw is now suspended for the second game. Whether he would have played or not is a different conversation. But either way, he gets a rest as well. So all in all, couple of positives for United. Luke Shaw gets a rest. Rashford's getting a rest. Hopefully he's not injured too badly. Casemiro has also been made captain of Brazil, which is a good bit of positive news for him on a personal level. But coming back to what the title of the video is, rather than focus on an international break, which is the most driest thing ever. Manchester United owners, i.e. the Glazers, have basically received a second bid from Qatar, which has matched their valuation of $6 billion. For me personally, this should now be a situation where the ball is starting to get, the wheels are in motion, so to speak, and hopefully the deal gets done. I mean, for me personally, right, it's very simple. You put in a valuation, they've matched it, shake hands on it, and basically move on. I mean, the Glazers might want to hold out for more money because they're tight. Wouldn't put it past them, but like I've already said in the video, legally they're not allowed to basically manipulate the market and not sell now. So if they want to break the law, it's up to them. I'm sure they've got a lot of lawyers to advise them on otherwise. But listen, if they want to break the law, it's up to them. They can do whatever they want. They're grown-ass adults. So break the law, get in jail, that would be even better case scenario. Matthew saying, Gareth is a clown. I'm happy Marcus has pulled out into the game. These are absolute facts, bro. I'm absolutely elated that he's not playing for England, to be honest with you. From a selfish standpoint, I need him to rest. He's been playing week in, week out for too many games now. And I've been extremely worried that he would pick up an injury, whether it's a serious enough injury for him to actually be out of this international duty. I don't know. I don't personally think it is. I've got to, I do think this is Ten Hag doing a Sir Alex Ferguson. I can't lie. But for me, it's the right decision. The player has been playing too many minutes. And it's actually a bit poor from Southgate to basically not read the room. I mean, yes, we need Rashford to play for England. Of course we do. We need him in qualifiers. But the guy's burnt out, man. You've got other players there. You've got Grealish. You've got Sterling. You've got the options. I mean, play one of them guys. I mean, stop crying. Now, honestly, you don't even pick half these players anyways, and now you're crying that they're not available. I'm sorry, but 5 minutes for a player of Rashford's ability is absolutely inexcusable. I don't give a damn what you think. It was a piss take. You absolutely disrespected him by only giving him 5 minutes, and now you're crying because he's not available on the first opportunity. Shut up, man. You didn't even play him anyways. But yeah, as Matthew is saying, Qatar over Jim Ratcliffe, and that is basically the consensus that I'm going with. For me, Jim Ratcliffe hasn't got the money. Just to summarize quickly, he hasn't got the money. I don't see a realistic situation where he actually owns Manchester United. The only situation I see is if he's the only bidder remaining, i.e. the Qatari owners, Sheikh Jassim has pulled out for whatever reason, but he has put in a second bid, so I would like to think he's going to follow through and get the dub. Hopefully in the coming weeks we will have a lot more positivity. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and of course make sure you slap a like on this video. I'm sure most of you are watching this on repeat, as the update is second bid has been put in. It's not up to the Glazers, courtesy of Fabrizio Romano, the most credible person in the business. None of this Sky Covenant nonsense, straight from the horse's mouth. Fabrizio Romano, it's up to the Glazers. What are they going to do? It's up to them. Anyways, thank you as always for tuning in. I just thought I'd quickly hop on and do a quick update. Make sure you slap a like, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to follow me on all the socials. Osman Talks United on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, where you get regular updates. In particular on TikTok, actually, I tend to post that twice or three times a day, within that ballpark. So if you want to get more content from your lovely host here, make sure you check my TikTok and my Twitter, where I'm quite interactive with all my followers and that kind of thing. So yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to Matthew for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you as always. It's been your boy Osman.